The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. The chamber was so large that the voices of hundreds of alien delegates could echo for minutes, but now no one dared to speak. The ceiling was made of crystal that showed the endless stars outside, and the light from distant suns shined down on the faces of the council members. They were from many species, scaled, furred, feathered, and smooth-skinned. But at that moment, they all shared the same look, fear. In the center of the chamber floated a giant hologram. It showed an image of something small compared to the vastness of the galaxy, but terrifying to everyone who looked at it. It was a human warship. The ship was black, sharp, and alive with lines of light across its surface. It did not look like any vessel that the Council had ever seen before. Its engines burned with a strange glow, not plasma, not antimatter, but something new, something impossible. The image turned slowly in the air, showing its size compared to a Council battleship. The human ship was only half as big, yet its readings were off the scale. The sensors of 3 different scout fleets had broken trying to measure it. The ship carried weapons the Council could not understand. It carried shields that bent light and gravity. It moved faster than physics should allow. The hall remained silent until the Council leader, an ancient being with silver skin and 6 shining eyes, spoke in a trembling voice. This is not possible. Humans were not supposed to advance this far. Not yet. His words made many heads turn, and whispers began to rise across the hall. How could they build this? Said a delegate covered in blue feathers. They were weak. They were behind every species here. They were children of a small planet. Another delegate, a reptilian creature with green scales, hissed, "Children no longer. Look at what they have done. They leap over centuries of knowledge as if it were nothing." The hologram shifted, showing another human ship, then another. Now there were 3. Reports streamed across the chamber. Scouts disabled without a single shot fired. Sensors showing impossible energy spikes. Communication systems jammed by unknown waves. A thin alien with pale skin and long fingers stood up, his voice sharp with fear. If one of their ships can break our fleets, what happens when they build 10 or 100? The balance of the galaxy will fall. The council leader raised a hand for silence, but his own fingers shook. We knew humans were different. Their history was full of wars, inventions, and sudden change. They rose from primitive to industrial in a blink. They built machines to touch their moon before others even noticed their existence. But this, his eyes stared at the glowing ships. This is beyond logic. The whispers grew louder, turning into angry voices. Some demanded answers, others called for war. "We must strike now," shouted a warrior species with tusks and golden armor. "Destroy them before they spread." But another delegate, old and wise, shook her head. "Do you not see? Strike them, and you may not survive. They are not only strong, they are unpredictable." The word unpredictable carried through the chamber like thunder. Every alien there had studied humans before. They knew how quickly humans could change, how they could adapt to environments that killed others, how they could turn weakness into strength. But none of them had thought humans would do this, skip centuries of research, and build ships that broke the galaxy's rules. The hologram zoomed in on one human ship's engine. The glow inside was a storm of light that twisted like a black hole, yet did not collapse. The scientists of the council had no explanation. Their computers could not even guess what energy source powered it. "It bends gravity," whispered one delegate. "It eats mass, but without fire." "It is wrong," said another. "It should not exist." The council leader spoke again, his voice heavier than before. "We stand at a moment of danger. These ships, they're beyond impossible. They mean humans may now hold the power to challenge the council itself." The hall filled with nervous sounds, claws clicking, wings rustling, tails whipping against the floor. The fear was real, alive, and growing. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council felt powerless. And somewhere, far from the council's chamber, humans were preparing more ships. The thought made every delegate shiver. The council leader looked around the hall, his 6 eyes wide with worry. If humans can rise this fast, What else can they do? What will they build next? What if this is only the beginning? His words hung heavy in the air. Silence returned once more, but it was not the silence of calm. It was the silence of terror, the silence before a storm. The council chamber remained restless long after the meeting had ended. Delegates returned to their worlds, carrying fear like a shadow behind them. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. How could Earth, a world that had been so small, so weak, rise so suddenly? For centuries, the humans had been seen as nothing more than a minor race. They lived on a single planet, fighting endless wars among themselves, wasting their strength in conflicts that led nowhere. Their ships were slow, their weapons crude, their science only beginning to touch the edge of the stars. Many in the council had laughed at them. Some even considered humans amusing, like children playing at space travel. But the reports arriving now told a different story. Humans had not only caught up, they had leapt forward as if they had broken the chain of time itself. No one could explain how. The archive showed Earth's first small steps into space. Old metal ships, fragile and weak, powered by chemical fuel. A race that should have taken centuries to move from basic exploration to advanced war fleets. Yet now, within a few decades, they commanded ships that bent gravity and light. The Council's greatest empires had taken thousands of years to reach their present level. But the humans, they were different. They moved fast, too fast. On the Council worlds, scientists argued through sleepless nights. Some claimed humans had stolen forbidden knowledge. Others believed they had discovered ruins of an ancient race. A few whispered of darker things, that humans had found a way to break the laws of physics themselves. Theories rose and fell, but no answer brought comfort. For every secret that could explain the human ships, another report arrived that shattered it. Their weapons had no heat signatures. Their shields reflected energy in patterns no machine could track, and their drives could move a ship across impossible distances. The galaxy had never seen such progress, and progress meant danger. On a cold world covered in ice, one delegate remembered his first visit to Earth long ago. He had seen humans as fragile beings, weak in body compared to the great warrior races, and short-lived compared to the long-lived elders. But he also remembered something else, their eyes. Human eyes burned with curiosity, with hunger for more. They were never still, never satisfied. Even when poor, even when broken by war, they dreamed of building, of reaching, of touching what was far away. He had dismissed it then as foolish hope. Now he realized that restless fire was the key. While other species relied on tradition, humans relied on change. Where others needed centuries of careful testing, humans used risk. Where others feared failure, humans treated failure as a tool. They did not wait. They rushed forward. And in rushing, they sometimes found shortcuts that others would never see. On Earth itself, history told the same story. Humans had once fought with swords, then in only a few generations they built machines of fire and steel. They went from horses to flying machines in less than a century, from radio signals to landing on their moon in only decades. To the Council, this seemed like chaos, like madness. But to humans, it was natural. They thrived in speed. They grew stronger under pressure. They learned while bleeding. They created while struggling. And now, they had reached space not step by step, but in leaps that no alien could predict. The Council tried to explain it away. Some said it was luck. Some said humans had been guided by another unseen power. But deep inside, every delegate knew the truth they did not want to speak aloud. Humans had always been dangerous. They were not the strongest or the smartest, but they were the most determined. They could not be stopped by failure, because they turned failure into progress. And now, that progress had become something the galaxy feared. Reports from scouts continued to arrive. One fleet had been disabled without a single shot fired. Another had been forced to retreat when their ships refused to function near human vessels, as if reality itself bent around them. The Council scientists compared the readings. Engines that twisted gravity fields, power sources that defied understanding, weapons that struck without energy trails. It was as if humans had built ships from the future. The council leader read these reports in silence, his 6 eyes closing in deep worry. He remembered old warnings, stories told in whispers among the ancient races. Stories of a young species that would rise too fast, faster than any before, and shake the order of the galaxy. Most had dismissed it as myth, but now the myth felt like truth. Earth had risen too quickly, and the galaxy was not ready. Far from the council's halls, on the blue and green world of Earth, the humans themselves knew exactly what they were doing. They remembered every war, every struggle, every invention born out of desperation. They remembered how their world had nearly destroyed itself more than once, but each time they rebuilt stronger. They remembered that when others thought something impossible, humans found a way to make it real. And as the council watched in fear, Earth was preparing to build more ships, faster than before. The rise of humans was not an accident. It was a pattern, one that had repeated through their history. And now, that pattern was spreading into the stars. The first true test came at the edge of council space. A scout fleet of 12 ships, belonging to the proud Zorith Empire, was sent to observe human movement. The Zorith were no strangers to war. Their fleets had crushed dozens of uprisings, their weapons could burn moons, and their commanders were famous across the stars. When they heard humans were building strange new ships, they laughed. "Let us see these children play at war," their commander said, his voice filled with pride. But their laughter ended quickly. The scout fleet moved into position near a quiet sector of space, waiting in the shadow of an asteroid field. Their sensors reached out, searching for human signals. For hours they detected nothing. Then suddenly, their systems lit up with alarms. A human vessel appeared on their scanners. It had not jumped in, it had not flown in. It was simply there, as if space itself had folded and placed it before them. The alien commander ordered weapons online. "Prepare to fire. Let's see what tricks they have." But before the order was complete, the ship moved. No engine trail, no warning. It slid across space like a shadow, faster than their eyes could follow. The commander shouted for pursuit, but the ship was already behind them. Their targeting computers tried to lock on, but every system glitched. The screens flashed with static, then blacked out. Weapons refused to respond. Engines lost power. Communications filled with nothing but strange signals, patterns of sound that twisted into whispers no one could understand. One pilot panicked and tried to fire manually, but his console sparked and died in his hands. "What is happening?" the commander roared. But no one had an answer. The human ship never fired a single shot. It simply moved around them, weaving like a predator circling prey. One by one, the Zorith ships lost control. Lights flickered out. Shields collapsed. Systems went silent. And in the silence, every crew member felt something stranger than fear, the feeling of being watched. It was as if the human ship itself had eyes, and those eyes were staring directly into their minds. Then, as suddenly as it had arrived, the ship was gone. The Zorith fleet floated dead in space, powerless and broken. Hours later, recovery teams found them still drifting, their systems completely useless. The crew survived, but their minds were shaken. They spoke of voices whispering inside the static, of visions flashing before their eyes. Some described seeing Earth, oceans, and mountains, even though they had never been there. Others swore they felt the beating of a human heart in their own chests. The council received the report with dread. The commander's words were etched into the record. "We were not defeated by weapons. We were unmade by their presence." No one in the chamber could explain how a single ship had disabled 12 without firing. Scientists argued again, but the answers only made the fear grow stronger. If humans had found a way to control energy at its base level, they could shut down any system in the galaxy. If humans could bend signals into minds, they could win wars before they even began. For the first time in ages, the council realized that they were blind. They did not understand the rules humans were playing by. And against an enemy whose rules you cannot see, defense is impossible. Across the galaxy, rumors spread like wildfire. Entire colonies whispered that the humans had mastered something ancient, something lost before the council was born. Some called it forbidden technology. Some called it sorcery. But the truth was simple. Humans had changed the game. On Earth, the event was recorded differently. The ship's admiral described it as a simple test. The new drive systems needed calibration. Their signal disruptors were only at half power. Their psychic interference field was not even active at full strength. To them, it was not a battle. It was practice. Yet that practice had shaken the galaxy. The council met again in secret. Their voices trembled with fear and anger. "We cannot allow this," one delegate cried. "If one ship can do this, what will a fleet of them do?" Another delegate leaned forward, his voice dark. "We may already be too late. If they can appear in our systems without warning, no border will protect us." The council leader listened, his 6 eyes heavy with dread. He knew the truth they all feared to speak. The humans had shown only a glimpse of their power. And if that glimpse was enough to terrify the strongest fleets in the galaxy, then the full strength of Earth had yet to come. The council gathered again, but this time behind sealed doors. No audience, no open record. Only the most powerful and the most ancient sat in the chamber. Their faces were grim, their voices hushed. The hall was darker than usual. The crystal ceiling dimmed so that no light of the stars could distract them. Something old was being remembered, something they had all tried to forget. The council leader's 6 eyes scanned the room. "The human ships," he began slowly, his voice heavy, "are not just technology. They remind us of something else, something we buried." A ripple of unease spread across the delegates. Many shifted in their seats. Some pretended not to understand, but others knew exactly what he was speaking of. A tall, insect-like delegate finally whispered the word. "The prophecy." Silence fell. For a long time, no one dared to respond. The prophecy had been recorded thousands of years ago, when the oldest races still wandered among the stars. It spoke of a young race that would rise too fast, faster than reason allowed. It spoke of ships that would break the rules of stars, ships that could not be stopped by fleets or by fire. Many had dismissed it as legend, a warning tale for children. But now, with the rise of Earth, the legend no longer seemed like a myth. The council leader activated a hidden archive. In the air above the chamber, ancient script glowed in golden light. The words were translated into every tongue at once. "From the dust shall they come. From a small world shall they rise. Their eyes will be fire. Their hands will bend the void. And their ships shall break the chains of the stars. And when they come, the galaxy shall tremble." The delegates stared at the glowing words. Some refused to look at them, their heads bowed low. Others hissed or muttered in panic. One warrior delegate slammed his fist against the table. "We should not give power to ancient stories. Humans are dangerous, yes, but they are not destiny." But his voice was shaky, betraying his fear. The insect-like delegate leaned forward. "You saw what happened to the Zorth fleet. 12 ships, silenced by one, and not a single weapon fired. Does that not sound like prophecy to you?" Murmurs filled the chamber. The fear was growing, rising like a wave. For so long, the council had been the unchallenged order of the galaxy. They decided who could rise, who must fall. They controlled trade, war, and peace. But now, for the first time, they were speaking of a power they could not control. A delegate with pale, silver skin spoke softly, but every word struck like a blade. "We should have seen this coming. Humans always moved faster than anyone else. They were warned. They were blocked. They were even threatened. Yet they still advanced. Perhaps it was not by chance. Perhaps it was fate." The word fate made others restless. Council members were supposed to believe in logic, in control, not in fate. Yet in that moment, even the most rational among them felt the shadow of destiny. The council leader spoke again, his eyes glowing with cold worry. "If the prophecy is true, then Earth is not just another world. It is the one foretold. And if that is the case, then nothing we do may stop their rise." The chamber broke into chaos. Some shouted for war, to crush Earth before it spread further. Others warned that attacking might only fulfill the prophecy faster. Some demanded negotiation, though their voices were drowned out by fear. "If we wait, we die," one warrior roared. "If we strike, we may still have a chance." Another hissed back, "Strike them, and you may awaken something worse. Do you want to see what happens when their full fleet is ready?" The debate raged until the council leader struck the floor with his staff, the sound echoing like thunder. Silence returned, though the air still shook with tension. He looked at each delegate with slow, heavy eyes. "The truth we all fear is this. Humans may already be beyond our reach. Their ships are beyond impossible. Their minds are unpredictable. Their will is unbreakable. If the prophecy is theirs, then the galaxy will belong to them." The words sank deep like poison into every heart. No one wanted to admit it, but they all felt the same chill. The fear was not only of human ships, but of what those ships meant. A shift in power, a new age, an end to the Council's rule. And while the Council argued in shadows, far away on Earth, humans continued their work. More ships were being built, faster, stronger, stranger. Engines roared in hidden docks, lights burned in secret hangars, and human eyes looked to the stars with hunger. The prophecy was not known to them, but they were writing it all the same. And the galaxy trembled, for the secret fear of the Council was becoming real. Far from the dark halls of the Galactic Council, on the blue world called Earth, a very different kind of meeting was taking place. In a hidden command center deep beneath the surface, human leaders stood around a glowing table where images of their new ships floated in the air. Admirals, scientists, engineers, and strategists filled the room. Their faces were tired, but their eyes burned with determination. Unlike the Council, they were not afraid. They were preparing. At the head of the room stood Admiral Keller, a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see farther than the walls around him. He looked at the fleet designs and spoke in a calm but strong voice. "The Council has finally noticed us," he said. "Good. That was the plan." Around the table, murmurs spread. Some were nervous. The Council was powerful, ancient, and vast. But Keller raised his hand. "Do not fear them. They fear us. And fear gives us the advantage." His words cut through the tension like a blade. For centuries, humans had been considered weak, but humans knew something no alien could understand. Pressure creates strength. They had survived wars, plagues, and disasters. They had grown stronger every time. Now, facing the greatest powers of the galaxy, they were ready to do the same. A young scientist adjusted the hologram to show the core of the new ship design. A storm of light twisted inside a sphere, bending space around it. "The singularity drive," she explained. "They don't understand it, and they never will. Their minds are trapped by rules. We broke those rules." Keller nodded. "We did not copy anyone. We did not steal. We created what they thought impossible." He paused and looked at his team. "That is human strategy. Not strength, not numbers, but imagination." The room was silent for a moment as his words sank in. Then another voice spoke, an engineer with grease still on his uniform. "Admiral, the Council has fleets that outnumber us 1,000 to 1. They will come. Even with our technology, how do we fight them all?" Keller smiled faintly. "We do not fight them like they expect. That is the key. Humans never win by playing the enemy's game. We change the game." He pointed at the hologram, where tiny icons of human ships began to move. "They believe in grand fleets, in lines of battle, in tradition. But we believe in speed, in surprise, in thinking sideways. One ship against 12. That is already proof. Now imagine one fleet that moves like a ghost, striking and vanishing before they can even fire." His words filled the room with energy. This was not the language of fear, but of boldness. It was the spirit that had taken humans from caves to stars. They had always been outnumbered, always facing stronger foes, yet they had always found a way to win. A general leaned forward, his voice firm. "So we will not wait for their attack. We will spread fast. We will build bases on hidden moons, in asteroid belts, inside gas giants. We will not stand in one place for them to crush. We will become everywhere." The scientists nodded. The engineers began whispering to each other, already planning. It was the human way, turn a meeting into action before the enemy even noticed. Keller raised his voice once more. The Council sees us as a threat because they think in centuries. They build slowly, carefully. We do not have that luxury. We move in decades, in years, in months. That is why they will never catch us. His eyes narrowed. They think power is in size. They are wrong. Power is in speed. Power is in will. Across the room, the leaders felt their fear fading. They remembered their own history. Humans had crossed oceans in fragile ships when others stayed on land. Humans had flown into the sky when others called it madness. Humans had walked on their moon while still fighting wars on Earth. Again and again, they had done what others thought impossible. This was not new. This was simply their nature. Outside the hidden base, the shipyards of Earth burned with light. Gigantic structures floated in orbit, building new warships day and night. Factories on the moon poured out materials. Robots worked tirelessly in silence. Every launch carried another vessel into the void. The humans knew the Council was watching, but they did not care. Let them watch. Let them fear. The more they feared, the stronger Earth's position became. For fear made enemies hesitate, and hesitation gave humans time. And time was all they needed. In the command center, Keller looked once more at the glowing ships. His voice was quiet now, but every person heard it clearly. The Council believes they hold the galaxy. They believe no one can rise without their permission. But they are wrong. We did not ask for permission. We took it. That is our strategy. He looked at each of his people in turn. And we will keep taking it until the stars themselves are ours. The room was silent, but in that silence was not fear. It was resolve. The humans were ready. Their ships were rising, and the galaxy had no idea what storm was coming. The day the Council had feared finally came. Along the border of human space, the largest fleet in centuries gathered. Hundreds of alien warships from dozens of species floated in formation, their hulls glowing with power. The Council had decided that the time for waiting was over. Humans had to be confronted, contained, or destroyed before their rise became unstoppable. At the heart of the fleet stood the flagship, a massive vessel larger than a city, commanded by Supreme Admiral Threx of the Volcar Dominion. His voice was cold and sharp as he addressed the combined forces. Today we remind these humans that the galaxy has rules. We remind them who holds power. Across the stars, sensors detected movement. Human ships were coming. Not many. Only a small formation, less than 20 vessels. But each one carried that same impossible glow, that storm of light in their cores. The Council fleet laughed at the numbers. 20 against hundreds, one commander said. This will be over quickly. But the laughter died as soon as the human ships drew closer. They did not move like normal vessels. They slid through space as if the void itself bent to their will. Their engines made no trails. Their weapons were silent. Yet every sensor screamed warnings. Admiral Threx opened a channel, his face broadcast to the human fleet. Surrender your ships. Submit to the authority of the Council, or you will be crushed. For a moment, silence answered. Then one image appeared, Admiral Keller of Earth. His expression was calm, almost amused. Try us, he said simply, and the transmission ended. The words spread through the alien fleet like fire. Try us. So simple, so confident. Threx snarled and ordered the attack. Hundreds of alien ships surged forward, weapons blazing. Beams of plasma, storms of missiles, gravity bombs. All the power of the Council unleashed at once. But when the weapons reached the human ships, they bent away. Light curved, fire twisted, and explosions vanished into nothing. It was as if the void itself had swallowed the attack. Then the humans moved. 20 ships cut through the battlefield like blades. They darted between enemy lines, faster than the eye could follow. Where they passed, alien systems failed. Shields flickered out, engines stalled, weapons went silent. Entire warships drifted powerless, caught in invisible nets. Not a single human weapon fired, yet the Council fleet was collapsing. Admiral Threx roared in fury, and ordered his flagship to ram the nearest human vessel. The massive ship surged forward, its size dwarfing the target. But the human ship shimmered, and in the blink of an eye, it was behind him. The great flagship shook violently, its controls dead. Lights failed, alarms screamed, and the proud vessel spun helplessly in the dark. Across the battlefield, chaos reigned. Alien captains shouted in panic, their crews unable to fight. Some ships tried to flee, but space itself betrayed them. Their jumps failed, their engines misfired, their navigation twisted them back into the trap. The human fleet pressed no attack. They did not need to. Their presence alone was victory. Within minutes, a fleet of hundreds had been turned into wrecks of silent, drifting ships. Admiral Keller's calm voice filled the void. You came with fire. You leave with silence. Remember this. Earth does not seek your permission. But if you seek our destruction, you will find your own. His words struck deeper than any weapon. Across the galaxy, the Council felt the tremor. Their combined might have been broken by 20 ships. 20. The prophecy echoed louder than ever. A young race had risen, and their ships had broken the chains of the stars. On his darkened flagship, Admiral Threx stared into the void with rage and despair. He had commanded the greatest armada in centuries, and it had fallen without a single human casualty. He knew then what the Council feared most. Humans did not just build ships. They built inevitability. The confrontation was over, but the war had only begun. For the humans had proven their strength, and now every species in the galaxy would have to choose to bow, to fight, or to be swept aside. The battlefield was silent. Hundreds of alien warships floated powerless, their lights dark, their weapons cold. Only the human fleet remained active, 20 ships glowing with strange energy, moving with calm precision. To the Council, it was more than defeat. It was humiliation. They had brought their greatest strength against Earth, and they had been broken without a single human loss. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. Colonies whispered in fear. Armies questioned their leaders. The old balance of power was gone. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council's rule was shaken. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Keller stood before his officers. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned with pride. They have seen only the surface, he said. They do not yet know what truly powers us. His officers nodded. They understood what he meant. The alien fleets believed the human ships were unstoppable because of weapons and shields, but that was not the truth. The real secret lay deeper, at the heart of every vessel, the Singularity Core. It was not a normal engine. It was not even just advanced technology. It was a new way of touching the universe itself. The Council's scientists had studied energy for millennia, but they had always stopped at the limits of physics. Humans had broken through those limits. They had reached into the quantum storm, into the fabric of reality, and pulled out power that others believed could not be controlled. That power did not burn fuel. It did not consume matter in the normal way. It bent space, time, and gravity, turning them into tools. A single human ship carried more energy than entire fleets. But the strangest part was not just the energy. The Singularity cores connected to their pilots in ways no one else understood. When a human sat in the command chair, the ship did not feel separate. It felt alive, like an extension of their body and mind. That was why the ships moved like shadows, why they always seemed one step ahead. They were not machines. They were partners. And that was something no alien species had ever achieved. While the Council argued about rules and traditions, humans had done what they always did. They risked everything, and they won. Back in the Council chamber, chaos reigned. Delegates shouted over one another. Some demanded peace, others screamed for war. The prophecy was repeated again and again, its words now impossible to ignore. Their ships shall break the chains of the stars. The chains were already broken. A reptilian delegate hissed with fear. If this is what they have now, in only decades, then what will they have in centuries? No one answered. The silence that followed was worse than shouting. They all knew the truth. If humans could rise so quickly, no one could predict their future. They were not just another species. There was something new, something dangerous, something unstoppable. Admiral Keller's voice carried across encrypted channels, reaching every hidden base on Earth and beyond. "This is not the end," he told his people. "This is the beginning. We are not fighting for survival anymore. We are fighting for destiny." His words spread like fire. On Earth, workers in the shipyards cheered. On colonies across the solar system, children pointed to the stars with hope. Humanity had always dreamed of expansion, of finding new homes among the stars. Now that dream was real, and nothing could stand in their way. For the Council, the impossible revelation was complete. Humans had discovered power beyond their understanding. Humans had built ships beyond their imagination. But worse than all of that, humans had the will to use them. The galaxy had always believed that the Council would rule forever. That belief was gone. The future now belonged to Earth. And somewhere deep in the shadows of space, as new singularity cores came alive, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. For if humans could achieve the impossible in one lifetime, then in the next, they might shape the destiny of the entire galaxy. And nothing, not even the oldest powers, could stop them.